Commodore 64 home computer has an unusually large memory. Remember? It also has all the peripherals you're ever likely to need. Monitors, plotters, printers, disk drives, and a vast range of software. Which means you'll get so much more enjoyment out of your home computer. The Commodore 64. Remember the enormous memory, but don't forget the peripherals and software.
Hi guys, and welcome to Retrobate. Tonight's episode is going to be a special episode. It's my most nostalgic top 10 Commodore 64 games. Maybe not games that you would choose, but these were special to me back in the day. First off, we're going to start with number 10, and it's Spy vs. Spy. Spy vs. Spy was released in 1984 by First Star Software, and it was actually based on a comic strip, which I'd never played, but boy did I play this game, and I played it to death. It's an absolutely fantastic two-player game. I much prefer it in two-player than in single-player, where basically you've got to collect all the objects, get them in your case, and get to the airport and get out of there. But of course, the other spy is trying to do exactly the same thing, and you can set up traps to try and kill each other, then take all the things, then you win. Oh, honestly, if you like two-player games and you like your Commodore 64, you absolutely must try this game. And so at number 9, we have Creatures, which was released in 1990 by Thalmus. Creatures, which actually stands for Clyde Radcliffe Exterminates All the Unfriendly Repulsive Earth-Ridden Slime. Well, it's just a cracking platformer. The graphics are absolutely beautiful. It really pushed the limits of the 8-bit system for me. All the levels are cute. The sprites are really well drawn, it's responsive, there's some great puzzles in here. Basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to catch all these different animals so that you can sell them in this shop, and you can upgrade your weapons so you can get a little bit further on in the game. And then of course we can't forget about, which was pretty much most people's favourite part of the game, the torture screens. However, me being awkward so-and-so, I prefer the platforming part, which is basically why I prefer Creatures 1 to Creatures 2. And well, now, number 8, we have Supremacy, which was a Melbourne house release in 1991. This might come as a little bit of a surprise to a lot of people, because this is definitely more of a strategy game. In fact, this was probably one of the first ever strategy games I played. This game combines brilliant music, brilliant graphics and brilliant gameplay, and it's altogether a brilliant game. The concept is pretty much like any other strategy game, whereas you tax all the people on your planet, you build better spaceships, you have better soldiers, you can train them better, they get better armour, better weapons, and basically you just try and take over everyone, all the planets, and you try and destroy your opponent. Now we're at number 7, and we've got IK+, which was released in 1987 by System 3. This is a sequel to the highly acclaimed International Karate, and was released almost a year and a half after the original. IK Plus features 1 or 2 player options, but this time there are a trio of new moves, a remixed Rob Hubbard soundtrack, and a new approach to gameplay. There is a single player mode, but where this game really excels is the 2-player mode. It's addictive, it's fast paced, and if you can take your eyes off the absolutely stunning background, you might actually have a chance of winning at this. This is by far the best fighting game on the Commodore 64, bar none. When every second level is completed, there's a chance to increase your score via a bonus screen. In this game you appear in the middle of the screen holding a defensive shield. It's solid. Down to number 6 now, and we have The Last Ninja 2. This was released in 1988 and is also by System 3. I definitely think that the music in games plays a big part of what my most nostalgic games are, and as you can hear in the background, this game has some absolutely amazing music by Matt Gray. But be warned guys, this game you have to be pixel perfect with a lot of your moves. And although it does look absolutely gorgeous, this is a hard game, and one that I've certainly not completed, and I probably won't anytime soon. But that still doesn't stop me from enjoying playing this absolute masterpiece. Although these days I normally do play the Last Ninja Remix because it's a cartridge version, so you haven't got any of the loading issues. But for me, this is the nostalgic game. So do yourself a favour, try and forget about the Last Ninja series for a while and just concentrate on this game. You will see that this game is graphically, musically and gameplay wise superior to almost all other Commodore 64 productions. It has several good puzzles, lifelike animation, very rich and detailed environments, and is all in all very well produced. It is an absolute must for your Commodore 64. So now we're at number 5. We have Stunt Car Racer, released by Microstyle in 1989. Guys, this is the racing game to have on the Commodore 64. If you like racing and you love your Commodore 64, I cannot believe that 1, you haven't played this, and 2, that you would disagree with me. The courses are just unbelievable. The graphics, considering it's an 8-bit system, are just fantastic. There is a genuine feel of speed. We're using vector graphics here, and you know what? The game absolutely pulls it out of the bag. This game's not easy either. You've got sticky tyres, you've got nitro engines, but you will always be pushed. I've had some extreme battles playing this game, and as you can see here, the computer is no slouch whatsoever, and it will battle you until the end, and thoroughly deserves to be in my nostalgic Commodore 64 games top 10. Wow, what an intro. Number 4, we have Gunship, which was released in 1986 by Microprose Software. I absolutely loved flying games back when I was a kid, but the Commodore 64 wasn't represented too brilliantly. We had Ace Combat, which was really good, but for me, the Commodore 64 was much more suited to a bit more of a slow pace of a gunship. My reason for having a lot of nostalgia for this game, probably down to the fact that this is one of the few games I ever completed, or at least got to the end of. If you're looking for a flight sim on your Commodore 64, you should not look any further than this. We move into the top 3 with Turrican II, The Final Fight. This was released in 1991 by Rainbow Arts. The coder was the legend Manfred Trenz. And I must stress to you guys that this top 3 changes on a daily basis. If I recorded this on a different day, this game could very well have possibly been number 1. It's that good. As you can see, we've got a side-on view shoot 'em up platformer. You get absolutely tons of weapons. Even from the start, some of the basic weapons that you start off with are just exactly what you need for the job. The graphics are absolutely superb. The animation is brilliant. The music, where it is, again, is absolutely brilliant. The end of level bosses are huge. But then you've got a bit of a change in the game. You can go to like a side-scrolling spaceship shoot them up. These levels are really, really good and can be quite tricky to negotiate. However, that is nothing compared to how tricky some of the next spaceship levels are, because look at the speed here, guys. I mean, I've never ever got past this level. I just wasn't good enough. As you can see, the graphics are still great for the speed that the game's moving at. I don't think I'd seen anything like this before on a Commodore 64. So here we've got speed, you've got the size of the end of level boss. Overall, it's just an absolutely superb game and an absolute must own for every Commodore 64 owner.
visitor. Stay a while. Stay forever.
And that was the first time I ever heard computerized, digitized speech on a home computer. So at number 2, we have none other than Impossible Mission from Epix, released in 1984. This is possibly one of the first ever Commodore 64 games that I ever played. It's possibly one of the first computer games that I ever played. It was at a friend's house. I heard that speech. The game was just so addictive. You have unlimited lives, and the game's different every time you play it. It's a game I've come infuriatingly so close to completing, but to this day, I've still never completed it. Impossible Mission hurls the player into a world of espionage, deadly robots, nuclear blackmail, and a warped madman. I absolutely love this game, and as far as I'm concerned, this is one of the finest computer games ever written on any computer. And here we are, guys, we're at number 1, and we've got Commando, which was released in 1985 from Elite. I know to some people this is nowhere near the best game on the Commodore 64, but this list is my most nostalgic games. This game takes me right back to being an 8-year-old, playing on this game, beating the game, taking turns with my friends. This for me is the ultimate in nostalgia gaming. It was a lot of years after that I played this at the arcades, and you know what? I still enjoyed the Commodore 64 version better. As far as the music goes, this is Rob Hubbard's absolute finest work. As far as I'm concerned, this is probably, if not the best music on the Commodore 64 of all the games. There was a bit of a subliminal hint to what was going to win, guys, because in between each of the previous 9 games, this is what you've been listening to. And for me, it is just simply the best. The game was quite easy to complete, as only 3 of the arcade's 8 levels had been converted. This makes the game possibly get a little bit repetitive. However, not so long back, only 2 or 3 years ago, there was a new version that's come out with all of the levels. This is the ultimate version, and you absolutely must play it if you've ever enjoyed playing the original. I hope you've enjoyed watching my top 10 most nostalgic games. There's so many games that I had to leave out, and this isn't a definitive list of what is the best games on the Commodore 64. In fact, it's far from it. It's not meant to be that. This is basically a list of games that I had when I was a kid and that I still enjoy playing today. Many a time I've went back to Commando. You know, you've got a spare few minutes and you just want a quick blast on a game that you know is fun, that you can go back to. It's a bit like an old friend that you haven't seen for a while, and you get talking and remembering the old times, and before you know it, an hour's passed. So guys, all that's left is for me to say goodbye, and I really hope that you enjoyed watching this video. Let me know in the comments below what you would have put in your top 10 nostalgia Commodore 64. In fact, let me know what you would have put for whatever the system was when you were a kid that you had. I'd be really interested to find out. So, from Retrobit, goodbye.